Imagine you started weightlifting at 5 years old, or for that matter, any endeavor that you're interested in. It could be playing the violin, the piano, soccer, basketball, tennis, whatever. Imagine you picked that thing up at 5 years old. Where would you be right now? How much better would you be at your current age? To me, that thought is incredible. Obviously, it's very rare to have somebody fall in love with something at 5 years old and basically be involved with it, practice it, play it, all their life. That's very rare. I've heard my fair share of wonder kids in soccer and basketball and all sorts of sports of these kids are 10 years old, killing the competition, their current competition, and then they just fall off. The other day I saw a video, a soccer video, a video about this very thing. All these wonder kids that were kind of identified at 10, 12 years old, these big clubs, Barcelona, Real Madrid, all these kind of big academies around the world will pick these kids up from various different spots around the world and invest in them. This is kind of the story of Lionel Messi. He got scouted, discovered very, very early on, and he moved to Spain, to Barcelona. I think it was like 12 or 13 years old, and he was part of the academy, part of the program. He had all of the resources at his disposal, and he basically became one of the, if not the greatest soccer player of all time. We hear stories about the Chinese weightlifting teams having the same type of programs, introducing the barbell or the broomstick, whatever you want to call it, at 5 years old. These kids are practicing snatching, clean and jerking at 5 years old. So by the time they get to 12 years old, 15 years old, their technical development is on another level. There's a lot of questions about how early should you introduce kids, with weight training. I've thought about this from a medical point of view, and I've thought about it from a training point of view. I think we shouldn't be loading, heavy weights on kids. I think the role of sports in youth is purely just GPP, developing physical preparedness, doing the general skills. Can he run? Can he jump? Can he weave? Can he do these type of things? And then, the weight will come later as the physical body develops, as the bone structure solidifies, as these growth plates become stronger and stronger. There's some literature about this very thing, but I don't know if there's studies about this, kids at 5 years old being loaded a set amount of kilos. But in a sport kind of like Olympic weightlifting that is very, very technical, obviously there's strength involved and physical prowess, but a large portion of that sport is skill, neural pathways, how crisp are you with your movement, using your mechanical leverages to the best advantages, I just think to myself, I started playing basketball at 12 years old seriously. Started playing for a club. And I started learning these fundamental things at 12 years old. I had general ability. I was pretty quick. I was pretty coordinated, had pretty good footwork coming from soccer, since I was like 6, 7 years old. So I was very active as a kid. And so some of these skills were kind of transferable. But really, I didn't start caring about deadlifting or squatting until I was 24, 25. That's when I really started honing in on these things. Between 20 and 25, I just would go into the weight room and do the machines, do whatever, flat bench with the dumbbells, just basically trying to add mass to a very skinny frame, very skinny teenager. But I keep thinking to myself, if my kids, if they ever choose to do this, they've been surrounded by it. I've told this story before. My son, when he was born, he was like day 3 or day 4 of his life. I had him in the pram next to my squat rack one night or one morning. It was basically several days in a row, in his first month of life. And he was hearing the sound of the barbell hitting the squat rack, the sound of the plates being loaded, all of that stuff, the smells associated, the sounds associated from a very early age. And so his exposure is it's minimal, but, it's there. They're always running around. They're always asking me, Dad, can I do a set? Can I do some squats? Can I do some bench press? And, they're lunging around the place. The other day, I was sitting watching TV and he didn't even get my attention. He was just lunging away, squatting. He picked up a roll of wrapping paper, Christmas wrapping paper, and he had that behind his head and he was squatting. And I thought to myself, there's no other place in his life where he would get this information. He got it from me. And I've never said to him, son, this is how you squat, this is what you got to do, I want you to do this. Never. I just went about my daily business of squatting, and he would just basically see me about my business. And, he wants to be like dad, just like I want to be like my dad. Seeing my dad drop off that balcony and do 30, 40 pull-ups. I thought that was incredible. So I'm having these kind of thoughts about, that father-son, daughter-father kind of relationship, those role model, thoughts, and how powerful they are. I said the story to you guys about seeing my dad for the first time, after we escaped the war, seeing him, do those pull-ups. I'm 33 years old at the end of January, and to this day, I think that's one of the most fundamental thoughts of my life that had more impact on me than I can remember anything else. I saw my dad being a superhero that day, and all I ever wanted to do is do that, be strong, be physically ready for whatever thing life throws at me. And so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about what that means for my daughter, what that means for my son, how fundamentally beautiful those exposures are very early on. You might not see the manifestations of these things very early on, but these seeds are being planted. You are just planting seeds. If you think about your kids or youth around you, it doesn't really matter how old they are, but youth is always looking for role models. We're always looking as kids, trying to develop into men and women. We're always looking for something to kind of emulate. And if you are the right type of positive image in front of somebody that's younger than you, you will impact them. If they think you're cool, if you're lifting 4 or 5 plates on a deadlift, and he walks over to the first one plate on the floor and he can't even nudge it, he's thinking, wow, that is a superhero. I've never seen anybody do that. And so today he was asking me, Dad, can I jump in for a set? Can I jump in for a set? So he jumped in, he put the bar on his back. I assisted him. Obviously, he didn't have any weight on his back really, maybe like a few kilos, but I tried to make it really easy for him, and he loves it. Daughter saw this and she was like, oh, I want to be like you guys. So she jumps in, does a set. So my daughter's 2.5 years old and she's done her first set of squats. Obviously there's a lot, I'm just saying it's not a full squat, with weight and whatever, but she understands how the bar feels. She understands, these things, man, you can never underestimate the impact these things will have on young people. So I'm thinking about these, Olympic weightlifters from China. I'm sure there's other programs in the world that identify kids, who have this will, who have this want to get better at sports. And, at 5 years old, man, by the time these kids get to 10 years old, they're basically, they can already start loading. They have the movement down packed. They've been playing with broomsticks. They've been playing with triple extension. They've been playing with all these different things. And most of all, I guess, neuro is probably the first thing for me, but second of all, really, is the mobility. The mobility, these positions are comfortable for them. We all know that once upon a time, we could all squat ETG. And then somehow throughout our teenage years, we lost that function, whether it's because we started sitting in class 8 hours a day. We started studying after school, so even more sitting. We're riding in cars all the time. We're in public transport all the time. So we never really, we basically, as we continue to grow into adults, we spend less and less time in some of these ranges of motion. And so voila, we get to 30 years old and everything's locked up. You can't even squat down to take a shit. You bend over to pick up a pen and you do your back in. It's got nothing to do with the weight of the pen, clearly. It's just your body does not have the ability to bend anymore. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing from a normal perspective for, ADLs, activities of daily living. It's a sad from that point of view, but it's also sad from a physical performance, point of view, as in, athletic performance. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine if clearly I was about basketball early on, soccer, then basketball, and now I'm weightlifting. But if somebody can dedicate themselves from 5 years old, once again, I say it's very rare to do this, but if somebody can dedicate themselves from the onset of life man, I don't know what. Clearly, you need some luck as well. Clearly, injuries and opportunities and resources and all these sorts of things need to be all part of the picture. But it's to me, it's just on another level. Um, you know, life is turbulent. Life has many challenges. You meet a girl, you go clubbing, you want to get a car, so you start working a little bit more to earn the money for that modification. So there's all these different, I want to say distractions, but they're not really distractions. They're just other views of life, other hobbies, other entertaining things to do in life. So to have somebody who is solely focused all of their energy, or the majority of their energy, for getting better at one skill, that is very, very rare. These are the specialists of our society, and these are the people that we're in awe of. Somebody that spent 20 years playing tennis and they're like 25 years old, 30 years old. That's phenomenal. LeBron James has been in the league since he was like 18 years old. That's insane, man. I was watching the other day. I was actually watching a video of the highlights of his first NBA game. And clearly he's a phenom of physicality. He's incredible. But I've seen other 6'8" dudes at 260 run around and do the things he does in terms of like his physical ability. His left hand is strong, his right hand is strong, his ability to view the court, it's not just the body of LeBron James that makes him LeBron James. It's the other things, man. He knows how to play the game. He has the patience. He knows how to see the game unfold. And all of these things, I think, were part of him from very early on. He was shown the game the right way from a very early on age. I don't know when he started playing, but he's head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of IQ of the game and understanding the game. So if you can make that endeavor fun for a 5-year-old, so they want to come back again and again, because a 5-year-old is not going to want to work. They're not going to want to train like a professional athlete, because a big thing about kids is having fun. The moment it's not fun, my son's like, I want to go in the house. So this is where coaching becomes really, really interesting. How do you make something fun? How do you make a training session fun so they continue to improve their attributes which are required for the sport, but you're continuously changing things so it's fun? So this is where coaching comes in, and this is where creativity comes in and whatnot. But as my kids were running around, I thought to myself, man, how incredible would it be if my kids pick up some sort of sport? It would be great if it's weightlifting. It would be great if it's basketball, but to see them develop from a young age, for them to understand what a deadlift is, what a squat is, what a lunge is, what an overhead press is, what a clean and jerk is, what a snatch is from a very early age. It doesn't really matter what sport it is. Like if he knows how to snatch at 10 years old and he goes and he wants to play basketball, he's that much better. He knows how to snatch. Like that's a skill. That's an explosive movement, which is likely going to transfer over to his athletic performance on the basketball court, on the soccer court, on the tennis court. So, I've said in the past, like these Olympic weightlifters, these powerlifters, these sports are great. They're fantastic, but a lot of the time, I feel like a lot of these Olympic sports are a waste of talent. And I hate to say this, and a lot of guys are going to be like, that's wrong to say, but, if LeBron James picked up Olympic weightlifting instead of basketball, he'd probably be one of the best weightlifters of all time. He's just a physical marvel, okay? But what a waste that would be if he played, if he did that. You know what I mean? Because basketball has made him an icon in the world. Basketball has made him touch more people than Olympic weightlifting could ever. He's earned a living. He started an empire. He's going to be the first billion-dollar athlete that's still playing. So all these type of things. And so I feel like a lot of these barbell sports, I feel like everyone should be doing them. But applying some of these athletical abilities should probably be spent in a sport where you can earn a living, where you can feed your family. I don't know too many Olympic weightlifters. Like I've heard stories about Ronda Rousey. If you guys remember her, she won gold, I think, or bronze or silver, something like this, in judo, won Olympics. And she came back home to America, and she was basically homeless. She was basically unemployed. So United States doesn't reward gold medals. So she is a elite level athlete. She brought back a gold medal, and she was unemployed and basically had to go work in some freaking, dead-end job to make a living. This is somebody that's at the peak of their sport, right? And they can't feed themselves. In America, it's a bit, in Russia, it's a bit, Soviet states, it's a bit different because they, there's a lot of funding from the state, and, there's a lot of pride about winning a gold medal and whatever. So these people that part of the world are okay. But I've seen countless people who are in that position. And so she had to turn over to UFC to earn a buck. So, she's got transferable skills. So she went over to UFC, to make some money out of this judo type of sport, So this is why I think, like, I mentioned, if LeBron James went over and won a gold medal and he has to come back and, he's got no money to feed his family. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I feel like my kids, I want them to, barbell to be, part of their training program, but I wouldn't want them to specialize in that and to go to the Olympics and represent Australia in that. I mean, I would be extremely proud if that was the case, but I'd rather have them use that athletic ability for like soccer or basketball or tennis or something where they can support themselves. A lot of these Olympic weightlifters, man, I don't know. These sports, they're big, but there's nothing. There's no monetary gain. I don't know. That's how it feels to me from the outside in. But I certainly would love for them to start training from an early age. I've spoken about this before. It's not just about the physical lessons. It's also about, the emotional, the psychological lessons. One of you guys said that gymnasium actually means school. One of you guys said that in the times of, I think it was the Greeks, working out wasn't just a endeavor for the physicality. So they didn't just work out. There was actually a philosophy component. So they would all kind of be around training, doing all these different exercises and talking philosophy, talking the meaning of life, all the big heavy questions. I've said this before. For some reason, I don't know, maybe this is why these videos happen the way they happen. When I'm training and I have the blood rushing around, I'm so much clearer in my mind. The thoughts come to me very quickly. And I'm always pondering about these big, heavy questions. I don't know what it is about the barbell. I don't know. Maybe it's the endorphins, all the good feel hormones, but there's like such peace right now that I feel at the end of my workout. It's so powerful, man. It's so freaking powerful. And, I think this is what attracts me back. It's not just the physical kind of gains. This is what a lot of people don't understand. We're like, oh, Ivan, are you improving on this program? You're missing the point, man. There's so many layers to this. The psychological, the emotional, the physical. It ticks a lot of boxes. Enough of the black screen, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.